Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Kirk Adams. Welcome to my monthly live streamed webinar, Supercharge Your Bottom Line Through Disability Inclusion. And today we have a very unique opportunity to learn about a new AI-driven solution for blind people, such as myself, to have an easier time of it in e-commerce. We're going to talk to Patrick Long, co-founder of Innosearch, in a few minutes. But Patrick, if you could say hi and give people just the sound of your voice and your title and where you're calling from.
Hey everybody, my name is Patrick. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Innosearch AI, a company building accessible solutions for the blind and visually impaired. We're based in San Francisco and very happy to be on the show today with Dr. Kirk and happy to share about what we're working on.
Great. And Patrick is not, we're not, those of us who can see, not seeing Patrick today. You may have been watching the news this week and about the bomb cyclone and all the storms here on the West Coast. We had our share of it here in Seattle 2 nights ago. Patrick's on the San Francisco Bay Area, so they're having some weather disruptions. So he's on his phone. Thank you for making it happen, Patrick. Um, just briefly before I turn it over to you, Patrick, to get your story. For those of you listening, viewing who don't know me, again, I'm Dr. Kirk Adams. I am a blind person, have been since I was 5 years old when both of my retinas detached, and I became a blind child um, basically overnight. I went to the Oregon State School for the Blind, first, second, and third grade, and learned to read and write Braille very, very fluently. Travel with confidence with a white cane and type on a typewriter so that when my skills were sufficiently strong, I could join my brothers and sisters and neighbors in public school. So in fourth grade, I started public school in Silverton, Oregon. I was always the only blind student in all of my schooling from fourth grade through my PhD. Um, I grew up in small towns in the Pacific Northwest. I was given some gifts as a 6, 7, 8 year old attending the School for the Blind. I was given the blindness skills that have allowed me to operate efficiently in the world of work and scholarship and life. I was given high expectations from my family and the school. A lot of young kids with disabilities um, aren't given that gift of high expectations. And sometimes if we have low expectations, they can become internalized. And I was also given just a strong internal locus of control, which means I really felt in my bones that I could make my way in the world. I could solve problems. I could figure out how to get things done. And that's such an important part of being able to thrive as a person with a disability in our society. So I'm grateful for those gifts that were given to me. Um, Progressing through the elementary, middle school, high school, and small towns, I experienced a lot of social isolation, especially in the middle school and high school years. Where I grew up, when kids turned 16, they got a driver's license and they got a job of some kind, and that was not happening for me. Then college was a very very different story. I was fortunate enough to be given a full scholarship to a small liberal arts school, Whitman College in Walla Walla, through a foundation called the Jesse Ridley Foundation that supports blind students in college. And again, a gift was given to me, which I appreciate immensely. Graduated cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa, 4 point in my major, which was economics, and then face the barriers to employment that so many of us with significant disabilities face, as only 35% of us are in the workforce. So many twists and turns later. After 10 years in banking and finance, I entered the nonprofit sector as a fundraising professional, development officer. My first nonprofit job was a development officer for the Seattle Public Library Foundation, raising money for the state talking book and braille library. And then from there, moved into the nonprofit sector, became the president and CEO of the Lighthouse for the Blind here in Seattle, was recruited to join the board of trustees of the American Foundation for the Blind, which was Helen Keller's organization, and was given an opportunity to step into that leadership president CEO role in May of 2016. Moved from our cozy neighborhood here in Seattle to Brooklyn and worked in Manhattan, the AFB offices right next to Madison Square Garden, right above Penn Station, and subsequently moved to the Washington, D.C. area. So had amazing experiences living in New York and Arlington, Virginia, and then returned home to Seattle during the pandemic. After 6 years with the American Foundation for the Blind, I had largely accomplished what I'd set out to do, which was to reorganize, restructure, and bring the organization back to financial sustainability. And I decided it was time for a change. At the end of June 2022, my very rewarding time at AFB came to an end. And as AFB had announced I was leaving, I was contacted by a number of organizations and people I'd done impactful, good projects work with, asking if I was available to help on various initiatives. And so I think de facto became a consultant, and I set up my consulting practice. My company is called Innovative Impact LLC. There is a website, innovativeimpact.consulting. And I've mostly focused on employment and working with companies to help them accelerate inclusion of people with disabilities in their workforce, and really the bringing the demand side and supply side together as employers are in competition for talent and needing to bring in um, talented, dedicated, motivated employees who will help their organizations move forward. And then with only 35% of us in the workforce, there's this untapped pool of individuals with disabilities who've developed a lot of really unique strengths. And as we look at how people develop strengths, it is through overcoming increasingly difficult challenges. Grand grandmasters in chess and world-class musicians and athletes, they all get there by a lot of hard work and dedication and setting themselves increasingly difficult challenges and overcoming them. And as people with disabilities, making our way through the social built and digital environments that were built primarily by non-disabled people, for non-disabled people, we face a lot of challenges. And as we grow older and take on more and more complex aspects of life, those challenges become increasingly more difficult. So we're able to develop a lot of skills and strengths that fit what employers are looking for. So resilience and perseverance and grit, creative problem solving, ability to analyze and manage risk, ability to work in diverse teams, good communication skills. And so my pleasure is bringing, finding employers who are open to being innovative and forward thinking in how they address their need for talent, and having conversations about intentionally bringing people with disabilities into their workforce, then connecting them with those resources that are out there. Our vocational rehabilitation system, every state has vocational rehabilitation agencies that are funded by the federal government, by the Department of Education. They have a $4 billion annual budget. They have thousands of staff, lots of dollars, and lots of individuals they're serving who have each has an individual plan for employment. So there's a pool of people ready and actively seeking work. Um, there are other companies, particularly those affiliated with an association called Disability In, companies that have made commitments to hiring people with disabilities. There are in any city of any size, there are nonprofits that focus on supporting people with disabilities. Many of them focus on employment. And then there are organized groups of people with disabilities in the blindness field, National Federation of the Blind, American Council of the Blind. So again, my pleasure is to find those employers who want to intentionally include people with disabilities, then connecting them with those resources, the state, the government, the corporate, the nonprofit, the community. Those are the four stakeholder groups that need to come together in order to make anything really transformational happen. So that's what I really enjoy doing is connecting those dots. At the same time, when I was at the American Foundation for the Blind, I would be contacted pretty regularly by innovative people, technology folks who had an idea or a thought about something they thought would be really helpful for people who are blind. And these are usually startup companies, and they were typically looking for capital. So they wanted to know if AFB could invest or provide loans or some way support them financially. And that was not something we did. So I was able to pretty regularly say, appreciate what you're doing. This sounds super interesting, but that's not something we do. Um, I will say some of the ideas were indeed super interesting. Some I thought were trying to solve a problem that a non-disabled person might think was a big problem for us, but really isn't. Um, some of the ideas were trying to solve problems that had already been solved, but there were also some very unique ideas. Um, as I moved into the consulting space where I have the flexibility to really focus on whatever I want to focus on, I continued to be contacted and connected with entrepreneurs and really innovative, creative people putting together solutions for life, um, obstacles and barriers for people with disabilities. And I have really learned a lot about how these ecosystems work. I've raised many millions of dollars over my career, primarily philanthropic. So I led the American Foundation for the Blind and the Lighthouse for the Blind, Inc., and raised money for those 501c3 organizations through corporate foundation grants and major gifts, and plan gifts and people's wills and individual donors. And um, I had a lot of experience in that. But raising capital in a for-profit environment is really new to me. So I've connected with some investors. I've been involved in some crowdfunding situations where companies sought to give individuals opportunities to buy into the company with small dollar amounts. I've been involved as an advisor to an incubator um, that focuses on disability-owned startups. And then I've been able to become an advisor to a small number of select startup ventures that I'm very excited about that I think fill a real need, and Innosearch is one of those. I'm going to turn it over to Patrick in a few minutes and ask him to tell us about his personal journey, where he's been, how he got to where he is today, and where he's hoping, planning, tending to go um, with Innosearch. But interestingly enough, I was contacted via LinkedIn in February or March, and I'm linked on LinkedIn every day, so you can also find me there. It's Kirk Adams, PhD. But I was contacted by a app development company based in the UK and Switzerland. And they were a shop that developed apps. They're for-profit business entrepreneurs. And they'd found me on LinkedIn and they asked if I would be interested in talking with them about apps that I felt could be very useful to people who are blind. So we had several ideation sessions, hour-long sessions. And the first thing I said to them was, if you can figure out a way to simplify and standardize e-commerce for people who are blind, because as we want to do what everyone in our society seems to want to do, which is to shop with ease and have things delivered to us and have lots of choices and go to the e-commerce sites that provide those services. We find as blind people, it's not that easy. It's not that simple. The sites are always changing, many accessibility issues. The search functions are different. The checkout processes, the shopping carts or shopping bags. So, not a walk in the park to successfully navigate e-commerce as a person who's blind who uses assistive technology. What I primarily use is JAWS, Job Access with Speech, screen reading software on my PC, and an iPhone with VoiceOver. And then I guess about 2 months ago, I was connected with Patrick, who's with us today. And he and his partner, Brian, founded a company called Innosearch. And they are doing exactly what I identified as a primary need for a solution for people who are blind. So I was so excited when they told me what they were doing, and I told them that little story that yes, I had in fact identified this as a great need. I'm glad someone is addressing it, and working with Patrick and Brian now as an advisor for a couple of months, I know they're totally dedicated to making this work. They're putting their heart and soul into Innosearch to make e-commerce and other web-based activities accessible, frictionless, and fun for people who are blind. So with that, Patrick, I would love to ask you to tell us a little bit about your journey, what brought you to the spot you are now with Innosearch on the cusp of greatness. You have users. I think you told me that users have doubled over the last month, and you're generating revenue. You're, in addition to e-commerce, you're adding other great services, and would love to hear about the past, present, and future of Innosearch.
Sure, yeah. So thanks so much, Dr. Kirk, for the introduction. And obviously, thanks so much for the help over the past couple of months. It's been really wonderful to be able to speak with you on a weekly basis and just, yeah, share what we're working on, issues, and also successes that we've been having. So, yeah, thanks so much for doing that. About myself, personally, I was born and raised in the Bay Area. I actually grew up in Fremont, California, attended Mission San Jose High School. Um, yeah, it was very competitive high school, a lot of competition for grades, and attended UC Berkeley for economics. So interesting, we both studied the same thing, economics. Was always fascinated with how the business world worked, and also was always an entrepreneur at heart. Always was in my dorm room thinking of new ideas, new ways to address markets that, seem to have lots of opportunity. So I studied economics and also got my CPA at Ernst& Young. So I was doing finance and accounting for a number of years before I started dabbling into entrepreneurship. My first company, we built a $100 million blockchain startup. Um, we were doing peer-to-peer lending, one of the first smart contract lending platforms on Ethereum at that time. And after that company wound down in 2020, we sort of took a break. And that's when I was introduced to Brian through a few mutual friends. And we were just playing around with the latest in AI technologies. I think this was when ChatGPT started to take off and a lot of this large language model AI technologies came to, really mature, right? And I think that was when we were really brainstorming how we could leverage um, such a cutting edge technology to help, people in need, right? I was a social entrepreneur in the past. The peer-to-peer lending platform that I had built, uh, we distributed it to folks in India, to folks in Africa, folks in South America to do community-based lending. So I always really resonated with the social impact space and ways to use, new cutting-edge technology to improve the lives of others. So we did a lot of research and really came across, we tried a lot of different ideas, but after actually doing some user studies and talking with, early people who tested out our product, folks with disabilities, in particular, those who were blind and visually impaired, really resonated with what we had built, right? They said, this is something they've never seen before, something like shopping on Amazon to find something as simple as like tennis balls could take them hours on end, right? So, with this AI solution, they can just quickly search for a product, learn about a product, right? And then make the purchase. So, seeing that organic feedback, right, from the community, really gave us a strong signal that there was a really strong need and, we potentially could build something to address that. And obviously that sort of was the initial spark, right? And once we dug deeper, right, through like conversations with Dr. Kirk or conversations with lots of other folks, in the blind and visually impaired community, talking with a lot of nonprofits, and every day now, actually, we get a lot of customer feedback that's very positive, right? We probably 5 to 10 uh, customer like testimonials every day. They just email us telling us how great of an experience they're having. That's just a further testament that I think we're onto something. So that's super exciting. And when we hear that, maybe somebody has never done Christmas shopping independently before, and now they're able to finally do it with Innosearch, that really warms my heart and yeah, it gives us the fuel to keep grinding on this. So yeah, I don't want to bore you with the details, but basically we know digital accessibility is like a really big problem, right? A lot of websites today are not accessible and it's very expensive to deal with this, right? You can hire sighted help, right? But that could be hundreds of dollars an hour, right? And like Dr. Kirk mentioned, a lot of the blind and visually impaired people, they don't have um, a job, right? They rely on disability aid, so typically lower income, and like paying, for somebody to help you all the time just isn't financially feasible, right? So that's why we think AI could be a great solution because it's obviously always on, very patient with you, and the cost is just a small fraction, right, of that sighted help. So thus far, we've actually built e-commerce platform that is very simple, very compatible with all the screen readers, whether you're using
Patrick,
JAWS.
how do people find this site?
Oh yeah, if you go to Innosearch, INNOSEARCH.ai, you can access the platform on any web browser, mobile phone, tablet. We're all there. So,
InnoSearch.ai.
yep,
Great.
that's right. Yeah, so we launched June of 2024. Now we're operating in 4 countries, the United States, UK, Canada, and Australia. It's a very simple, intuitive, screen reader friendly, fully accessible experience. You can browse billions of products on Innosearch from over 500,000 retailers. Anything from your Amazons, Walmarts, Targets of the world, you can find on Innosearch. You can find the best possible price at each retailer across the web. We guarantee free shipping and free return for all purchases. So yeah, it's truly a new experience. I think we've gotten lots of great feedback, so definitely encourage you to try. There's also an AI component that you can chat with. It can provide product details, give you review summaries, do the product research for you, and also we provide AI generated image descriptions. So, if you're trying to buy some fashion items and you're not sure what they look like because the alt text isn't properly generated, our AI can do it for you on the fly. Um, in the upcoming future, we're having flight and hotel booking. The flight is actually live already, so give it a try. And in the near future, we plan to release a fully voice operated commands. So whether or not you are, proficient or not at your screen reader, right? You can just talk to Innosearch and Innosearch can reply back with, different actions and also answer any product questions that you might have. So it's been really exciting. The last few months we've been seeing explosive growth. Sales are on track to double this month from prior month. I think we're getting to about 180,000 recurring revenue, and the users has also been growing really significantly. I think we're over 1,100 paid users now. So yeah, it's been very exciting. People keep coming back. They make multiple purchases. And last few days ago, we actually had a trivia night where we invited all our um, Search customers
I
to
must
play.
say, whoever put those trivia questions together, the science category was tough, but it was a
Yeah,
lot of fun.
that was by design. I was trying to stump some people. We had some
Well, you,
easy ones as well
you stumped
to
me. Um,
to
how how you said 1,100 paying users? Is there a cost to use InnoSearch?
no. So in Search, there's no cost. You can just create an account and start shopping. We don't charge subscription, and yeah, we it's
So
completely free.
there's no cost to the
No, there's no cost to the user. It's completely
right.
free to use, create an account, and place an order.
So when you're saying paying users, that means 1,100 people have used the site to purchase something
Yeah, that's right.
from somebody somewhere. Okay,
Yep.
good. Well, I'm really curious about you and Brian. I know he's not available to be with us today, but he's a very humble person, and I didn't realize until he mentioned it the other day that he has a PhD in AI. And how did you two connect?
Yeah, we met some by some mutual friends. So my previous co-founder and I actually were in the same friends group. And
Uh-huh.
so through some introductions, we just met each other. And he also plays badminton. I play
Uh,
badminton as well. So
okay.
yeah, I mean, we just sort of hit it off and realized that we have some chemistry when working on different business ideas together. And his background actually is in big tech. So he's worked at Google,
Uh-huh.
Meta, and Walmart for many years in search and AI. And
Uh-huh.
so he sort of wanted a startup experience, right? He craves sort of being able to move quickly, right? I think that's the big difference, right? When working with, tens of thousands of people at a major Fortune 500 company, the decision making is slow, right? And
Mhm.
so he always wanted to see what it was like to work at a startup. And so, yeah, that's why we decided to team up together. I think there's a good mix. I'm more of
Yeah.
like your startup guy, did a lot of startups, and he's more of a big company expertise, right? So yeah, I think we find a good chemistry when working together.
Yeah. Well, the AI part of Innosearch AI is legit for sure. Um, every time I talk to Brian, I just get a um, greater and greater sense of the depth of his knowledge and expertise with artificial intelligence. It's very impressive. So as far as No, you're not a blind person. You're not a native user of assistive technologies, but you are jumping in with both feet in the blindness community. You mentioned talking to lots and lots of people and organizations as you formed Innosearch. As far as as far as you understand, what's different? How is the experience different for people using Innosearch AI from what we're typically exposed to when we try to operate in the e-commerce environment?
Yeah, so the analogy I like to use is when using a site like Amazon, it's very complicated and has a lot of details, right? Similar to like a college textbook. Right? When you flip through a college textbook, there's a lot of words, a lot of descriptions, right? A lot of detail. Um, but oftentimes, to make your decision, right, or when browsing through items, especially if you're blind, you can't have your screen reader go through every single item, right? It's cumbersome, and as a lot of users have reported, takes a lot of time. So our innovation is we use AI and all this other technology, scraping technology, to extract the core meaning. Um, from Amazon or Best Buy, whatever. And we give you an experience that's a lot more simple to the point. And we also have an AI chatbot that has already been trained on all that information from your Amazon or Best Buy, whatever, and that can answer exactly what you need. So you don't have to go through, all that complex college textbook work, right? You can just simplify it to something like a children's book so you can learn quickly. And of course, if you need more information, you can dig deeper into that using the AI, right? And then make your product choice. Right? I think that's the big value add um, for InnoSearch as it compared to other e-commerce sites.
Well, you had mentioned e-commerce is up and running. You have 1,100 blind people who've used it so far. You've just added booking airline flights. I think we were on the phone together where you said we had our first person book a flight. So that's very recent. And then hotels come next. And I know you are seeking investors and you're giving people opportunity to become shareholders in the company. So could you talk a little bit about the amount of funding you're seeking and what the use of funds will be? How will you use and leverage participation by investors and taking Innosearch to where you think it could go?
Yeah, sure. So we're seeking to raise 500,000 from value added angels. Um, And primarily the use of funds would be spent on marketing. Right? It's expensive to go to a lot of conferences and get the word out. Also hiring engineers, right, to make the product more robust, more testing, and finally customer support. We have a lot of emails that come through. A lot of folks ask us for, you know, various debugging issues or whatever. So making sure we have funding to cover all of those uh, would be important. But we're not dependent on that funding. Like right now, Brian and I, we've had prior successes, so we're okay continuing to fund the business as long as it continues to grow. So I
Mhm.
see the external money as a way to accelerate what we're already doing. But as is the current trajectory, I think we can break even within 6 to 12 months, right? As long as we keep growing, doubling our user count, getting the word out there, I think we'll be still very healthy, even without outside funding.
Okay. So you'd happily talk to anyone interested in investing, but also for anyone listening who is blind and visually or visually impaired and uses assistive technology, screen reading software, voiceover or talk back on a smartphone, or if you have a family member or friend or classmate, encourage them to try InnoSearch.ai. I went to the site. I saw deals. I saw coupons. I saw, like Patrick mentioned, a very straightforward, easy to use platform that was really unlike anything else I'd encountered in going to e-commerce sites. So kudos to you, Patrick and Brian. Um, if people want to get in touch with you to learn more, we've given the web, we know it's Innosearch.ai, but if people would like to set up time to really dig deep with you or Brian, what's the best way for people to get in touch?
Yeah, so I think I would encourage you just to try the platform first, right? Just going on Innosearch.ai. It's an e-commerce site. You can buy anything from, a new flat screen TV to a computer to even groceries. So yeah, I encourage you to give it a try. But if you'd want to connect and speak with us personally, we're definitely love to hear your feedback, get your thoughts. We've actually connected with, I think, close to 100 of our users already, just setting up time one-on-ones, 30 minutes to chat. And for your feedback, we're happy to give you some gift cards on InnoSearch as well. But you can contact us through the contact form on the site, or you can just email info at innosearch.ai, and it goes straight to both of our inboxes. So we're happy to chat with you there.
Great. Info at Innosearch, which is INNOSEARCH.ai.
Yep, that's right.
And for me, I have a website. It's www.drkirkadams.com. That is my good way to contact me. For those of you interested in talking about employing people with disabilities, um, innovative impact consulting is the site where I do that type of work. I'm also on LinkedIn, as is Patrick. Final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely open to collaborating with any and all people. I found the blind visually impaired community super welcoming. Right? We've met Dr. Kirk. He's been, again, such a great help, super nice, super accommodating. We've also worked with folks like Sam Seavey from The Blind Life, or Carrie Morales from Carrie on Accessibility, Stephen Scott from Double Tap, Brian Clark from First Aid for the Blind, just tons of folks that have just been so welcoming and so excited for what we're building, and also giving us lots of great feedback. So for anybody that really likes what they've seen, or likes the direction we're headed, we would love to have a conversation and try to find a way how we might be able to help one another, because I think there's a really big need here, right? And yeah, this is a great opportunity for us all.
And I want to thank you and congratulate you for being so proactive in gathering data from people who are blind and visually impaired, talking to people who are blind and visually impaired about the needs, about the barriers, about the issues people face, and getting that lived experience of disability into the mix from the beginning. Um, Again, as I mentioned before, I've been contacted um, quite a bit by people who had thoughts about innovations that could support people with disabilities, people who are blind. And sometimes they had not talked to any blind people. They had an idea. They thought it could be helpful. They didn't take the time or make the effort that you and Brian are have made and are continuing to make to really understand what the lived experience is and how your solution in a search.ai can really do the best job for supporting people, um, accelerating our inclusion into this very important aspect of life in our society, which is doing business online. So, hats off to you and Brian for your approach.
Yeah, and we will continue to do that. And Brian and I, we've had a lot of experience building product, and we know, as innovators, as entrepreneurs, if you build something, in your basement and just peek out every once in a while, hoping that your users will like it, that's not going to work, right? I can't just sit there and use my imagination, right? Especially the fact that I'm not blind visually impaired myself. It's going to be really difficult, impossible, right? So that's definitely in our DNA, and we will continue to outreach and talk with you guys.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Patrick, for being here. Thanks for making it work, even though your internet is disrupted by the wild storms here on the west coast of the United States. And everybody go to Innosearch AI and check it out. And December, there will be no monthly live stream webinar. I am going to take some time away to refresh and rejuvenate. And then, of course, we have our end of December holidays. So we'll see you the last Thursday in January for the next episode of Supercharge Your Bottom Line Through Disability Inclusion. So again, it's Dr. Kirk Adams. Thanks everybody for watching and listening. Take good care. And thank you, Patrick.
Thanks so much. Thanks, Dr. Kirk.